Sixth grade. For me, that was Doc Martens and sweater vests, living La Vida Loca, and genies and bottles, and my first boyfriend. Let's hope that my son's sixth grade year is a lot better than mine. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. Okay, so ready or not, I have a 6th grader. I do not feel old enough for that, but it's happening. So I guess I am indeed old enough for that. And judging by the references I just made, you're probably like, yeah, you're definitely old enough for that. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm just really glad looking back at my 6th grade year that we homeschool. I'll just say that much. So we are wrapping up a great 5th grade year. This year, like I said in my video talking about how our year went, it was a year of learning through life. And it was a year of being more independent and adapting, and he rose to the occasion, and it was great. So this next year is going to be even a little more of, independence, and hopefully we don't have any more big life events happening, but if we do, we'll be ready for them because we'll be hopefully a little more independent in our schoolwork. We do need to add a few things and tweak a few things, but by and large, I think we're on the right track for 6th grade. We don't have to do any big about face turns or anything. So I'm gonna start with the subjects that are just unique to him. And then at the end, I will share our family subjects, but I'll be sharing those in my 3rd turning 4th graders video too. So just for him, his math, we are sticking with Saxon. I'm sure no one is surprised. He will be in Saxon 7-6. And that's really weird. This is a total side note. When I was in 6th grade, we called it Math 76 because we did Saxon in our public school. And for some reason, we just called it Math 76 or Math 54 or Math 65 or whatever. But now I look and it's like 7/6. It's 7-6. Anyway, that's total side note. But it took me a while to not call it Math 76 and Math 65. This 7-6 is supposed to be for kind of an excelled 6th grade or kind of an on par 7th grade level. We may use, the only change we're going to make this year from last year is we may go ahead and subscribe to Nicole the Math Lady. I don't know a ton about her, but people keep recommending her to me. And this is instead of the Dive DVDs. The Dive DVDs are the DVDs you can get that they will teach the Saxon lessons to your kiddos, but I've heard they're a little bit dry. So I've heard Nicole the Math Lady is a little more fun and easy to listen to. So I'm going to look into those more, and not because I'm not capable of teaching 6th grade math, because I actually kind of love it. I'm not a huge math person, but I love elementary math and I love algebra. I love college algebra even. I do not like calculus, and I do not like geometry, and I do not like trigonometry. So when we get to those, I'm definitely going to be like, yo, you've got this. Have fun. I don't know. I'm gonna look at it, but there's a good chance we will use Nicole the Math Lady just to lessen my load a little bit. So for his language arts, we are officially going to stick with EIW. So that's Essentials in Writing, not to be confused with Institute of Excellence for Writing. We are going to be doing the 5th grade level of that. So he's kind of a year behind on that. I say behind, but it's homeschool. There's no such thing as behind. The only reason I'm doing that is because it's just not his strong suit. So I just feel like he needs that confidence boost. I feel like he was starting to get that, well, I'm just not a good writer thing going on. And using EIW last year, his confidence did grow quite a bit. And I don't know if it was the curriculum itself, because it was our first year using it, or if it was just the fact that it was slightly below his level. So he just kind of got that confidence boost. And so he could naturally just kind of rise to the occasion better. I'm not sure. But the kid, before, it was very just simple sentences. And it's not that he couldn't write, because he speaks pretty eloquently for his age. He has a big vocabulary because he's a great reader. He loves to read. It's just that for some reason there was a disconnect between taking those thoughts and getting them to paper into something that both tells a story and is interesting. And it's not just simple sentences, the dog went to the fence, the dog jumped the fence, the dog ran away, I caught the dog, And so he's getting there. He's getting there. He wrote a sentence yesterday, I think it was, I was drifting on the sea of liquid sapphire. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That is definite figurative, imaginative language. For reading/literature, he is going to use the readers that come with Sunlight D. So, spoiler alert, we're staying with Sunlight again this year. For spelling, he's going to continue in spelling workout. This may be his last year for this. I'm not really sure. He's a pretty adequate speller. And I thought about taking it off of our plate this year, but really that's something he does pretty independently, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. So I don't think it's really going to do much harm to keep it, in his independent work section this year. He doesn't complain about it, and I think it's just good for him to get that extra practice. And I like how with spelling workout, they actually, it is simple in the fact that it's just a worksheet a day, test at the end of the week. But I like the fact that their lists aren't just random words. They're words that have specific patterns. And so, there will be a list that's all of the confusing IE or EI words, or I don't know, different words like that. And so it tells you like the spelling rule in general. And then it's like, but here are the exceptions because this is the English language and it's just how we are. So we'll probably stick with that for at least another year. So for spelling workout, he will be on level F. And then one thing we are changing up, last year we did handwriting through the good and the beautiful. This year we are going back to something we've used in the past, which is the prescripts from Classical Conversations. We are not a CC family. However, I have been doing tons and tons of research on handwriting curriculums because I had, kind of a bittersweet feeling toward the Good, the Beautiful, because I liked the fact that there was a lot of drawing and kind of art stuff involved because my sons love that. But it was just kind of like lacking the things they were copying and stuff was just kind of like, I didn't like it. So I was looking for something that both had good things to copy, but also included drawing. And that was really hard to find. And the only thing I could find was what we had used in the past, which was prescripts. So while we are not using Classical Conversations and these kind of go with their memory work, I am going to have him do the cursive sentences and art lessons, American history, because Sunlight D is American history. It's the first go through of American history. And so even if it doesn't line up exactly, it'll at least be in American history. So the sentences that he's copying will at least make sense to where we are with our history studies. Okay, and that is it for what he is doing by himself. Now for our family subject, as I said, for history, Bible, and literature, we will be doing Sunlight D. And I really wanted to do the D and E condensed, which is both the first half and second half of American history combined. And I think my soon-to-be sixth grader could have handled that. I think it would have been a little much for my fourth grader because he is a very young fourth grader. And so I didn't want to make life hard on him. I didn't want him to, that's their favorite subject, and I didn't want him to start hating it. So we're just going to do it at the pace that they recommend for my fourth grader's age, and it still fits within, it's 4 ages, grades 4 to 7. So my sixth grader will totally be fine in it, and they'll both love it because Sunlight is their favorite subject. And it's really funny when people are like, ooh, what's your favorite school subject? And I say Sunlight, and like non-homeschooled people are like, Sunlight? Like, that's not a subject. And so I always had to tell them, okay, but what do we learn when we do Sunlight? And they're like, oh, well, history and Bible. And they're like, oh, okay. And then for science, we're using Apologia again, which we've been using since this guy was in first grade. But this year we are doing their earth science. We really debated between, because the only ones he hasn't done are the flying creatures and the botany. And so I was like, we only have 1 year until he hits kind of that middle school science where it's going to be a whole different ballgame. And so this is his last year for elementary science. And there's the botany and there's the flying creatures. I was leaning toward botany. Flying creatures, I know it's cool, but I feel like getting botany in there was a little more important. But then they came out with the earth science not that long ago, and I was looking at that and I'm like, we really haven't gone over too much of this stuff. We're talking like weather, and we're talking about the layers of the earth and the, atmosphere, stratosphere, blah, 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 all that stuff. Can you tell I'm not a science person? And so I was like, well, we haven't done much of that either. So I was like, well, one of the two, I don't know. And so I just asked my kids. I was like, you know what? Here's your choices. I took flying creatures off of the list. I will probably do that with my younger two here in a couple years. But I said, would you like to do botany or earth science? And they're like, does earth science have to do with rocks? Because they're very into geology. They're very into like digging up stuff and fossils and gemstones and whatever. And their Minecraft obsession does not help at all. And so I'm like, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that. Like not the whole year, but we will talk about that. They're like, yes, sold. So we're going to do earth science. So that is basically it. They also will be joining a co-op this year, which I will make a video about that in the future once we have more details on that. But it looks like they will be doing some science type stuff, and they will be doing some fine arts type stuff and some geography, hopefully. So I will let you know how that goes once we kind of have more of that set in stone. So let me know down below, do you use any of these curriculums that I have listed? And if so, what do you think about them? Be on the lookout. My 4th graders curriculum picks are coming up soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.